This is the Ohio AgNet from the voice you know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by BASF and Zetavo Soybeans, transforming the approach to soybean seed decision making with trailblazing innovation and quality without compromise. I'm Ty Higgins. Powered by soy biodiesel, Dusty is headed to the Henry County Fair today for the midday broadcast. The fair runs through August 20th in Napoleon. Check out henrycountyfairgrounds.com for a full schedule of events. Then on Monday, we get an update from Ohio Corn and Wheat about the great work being done to represent Ohio's grain farmers at the state and national levels. How did the southern half of the crop tour shape up? More storms are coming, and tractor and combine sales decline. This morning's newsfeed is delivered by Ebert's Field Seeds, proven local seed performance for Ohio farmers. It's time to start planting Ebert's. Call 937-473-2521 or visit online at ebertsseeds.com. The fourth and final day of the Ohio Crop Tour wrapped up yesterday in Fayette County. Joel Penorwood checks in with the latest.
Ty, the fourth and final day of the 2026 Ohio Crop Tour wrapped up yesterday. 7 stops across southern and central Ohio made up our Thursday travels. Overall, the corn crop continued to show good yield potential, but some disease and stand issues noticeable in several fields still that did not get in the way of a lot of good yields. Gray leaf spot showed up at multiple spots, while Pickaway County had developing stem rots and Fairfield County showed signs of stress, wildlife damage, and some downed corn. Soybeans were generally clean, with some of the strongest pod counts of the day found in Fayette and Fairfield counties. Fayette County also had some of the most mature soybeans seen on the entire tour. Lodging did stand out in Licking County on the soybean side. As far as corn yields go, they range from 170 bushels per acre in Muskingum County to a tour-day high of 248 in Fayette County. Other stops included Ross at 213, Pickaway at 223, Fairfield at 177, Licking at 208, and Perry at 213 bushels an acre. Soybean estimates generally in the 40 to 60 plus bushel range. Some of the strongest fields we found were in Fayette and Fairfield counties. Special thanks for the Ohio Crop Tour being made possible by Field Leader, a project of the Ohio Soybean Checkoff. And we thank all those that made the crop tour possible, including the volunteers that went along with us, put in the long hours. I'm Joel Penorwood reporting.
Thank you, Joel. We'll hear from all the participants from the southern leg of the Ohio Crop Tour coming up in just a bit in today's featured audio. Let's get a check of the forecast now, brought to you by Seed Genetics Direct, the #1 fastest growing and largest Ohio-based independent seed company. Here's Ryan Martin.
Strong to severe weather looks like it's going to linger through midday. Finally, we see showers start to taper off this afternoon. We'll put together probably 5 to 6 dry hours as we move through sunset and into the early overnight. And then after midnight and toward tomorrow morning, we see another round of rain and thunderstorm action try and come across Wisconsin, southern Michigan, northern Indiana, and right into Ohio. Your Saturday looks damp to me in a large part of the state. Sunday also looks wet, especially from I-70 north. And then Monday, we see moisture sagging through the entirety of the state. So we're not done yet by any stretch. The next dry day, completely dry day that I can put in here, I think it's going to be next Tuesday, and we should stay precipitation free on Wednesday. By Thursday, those scattered showers are coming back. At this point, it is going to be a while before we see some longer-term drying across our region. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
Ryan, thank you. The farm equipment market is slumping. Joe Everett has that story.
U.S. sales of agricultural tractors dropped nearly 11% in July of 2026 compared to the year before, with combine sales declining more than 5% in the same period. This is according to new data from the Association of Equipment Manufacturers. Canadian agricultural tractors also fell nearly 8% in July, with combine sales declined almost 11% compared to July of 2025. The July data reflects continued softness in the agricultural equipment market as farmers and equipment manufacturers navigate persistent economic uncertainty, says AEM Senior Vice President Kurt Blades. Farmers continue to face difficult decisions, and clear, consistent policy direction is essential to helping them plan, invest, and remain competitive. AEM releases United States Ag Tractor and Combine reports monthly. The reports compile the previous month's sales for tractors and combines. For the Ohio AgNet, I'm Joe Everett reporting.
Thank you, Joe. In other farm news, Wilmington College is expanding its commitment to hands-on agricultural education with plans for a new agri-science complex. Agriculture is already the college's largest academic program, with about 1/3 of students majoring in agriculture across 7 concentrations. Now the school is adding new opportunities for students to learn by doing. One major piece is a recently acquired 2-acre commercial greenhouse on the college's academic farm. The former Bright Farms facility will give students real-world experience in controlled environment agriculture, along with marketing, distribution, logistics, supply chain management, and packaging. The planned agri-science complex will also include a dual-arena livestock facility. The two 100 by 200 foot arenas will provide space for livestock judging, equestrian events, and animal science instruction. College President Corey Cockrell says the goal is to prepare students for careers across agriculture by giving them practical experience they can take directly into the workforce. You can read more about this new facility at Wilmington College, online now at ohioagnet.com. All 4 days of the crop tour are now in the books. We'll hear from our Southern Lake participants in today's featured audio after this here on the Ohio AgNet.
The Southwest Ohio Corn Growers Agronomy Field Day will be held Tuesday, August 18th, starting at 9 a.m. at the Fayette County Airport. Hear from experts like Harley Jansen, Tad Nicholson, Jed Bauer, Dr. Chad Lee, David Marison, Robert Moore, Dr. Horacio Nicora Lopez, and Dr. Oscar Ortez on the latest in precision ag, corn production, and farm succession planning. Please enjoy free breakfast and lunch, plus a chance to win one of 2 $500 gift cards for Corn Growers members. Please see details at fayette.osu.edu.
Are you looking for the latest in Ohio agriculture? Well, you can get it all in one place. The Ohio AgNet Podcast. Join us as we sit down with farmers, experts, and ag leaders from across the Buckeye State. From the latest news to interviews that matter, we're here to keep you informed and connected. Whether you're in the tractor, the truck, or the shop, we bring the conversation to you. Search Ohio AgNet Podcast on your favorite app or find it on Facebook or YouTube. Don't miss a minute of the Ohio AgNet Podcast. Subscribe today.
This is the Ohio AgNet. I'm Ty Higgins. The Ohio Crop Tour, presented by Field Leader, a project of the Ohio Soybean Council, is in the books. We check in with Joel Penorwood, who was on the southern leg over the past 2 days.
We're here recapping the south leg of the Ohio Crop Tour with the entire gang that went along with us. Of course, we've got Scott Metzger. He's president of the American Soybean Association. We've got Bennett Musselman. He's president of the Ohio Soybean Association. We've got Taylor Dill, Dr. Taylor Dill, that is, and I'm Joel. And so we're going to recap what we saw over these past couple of days, going all through, starting with Madison County, doing a couple loops there, and then we headed over to Southeast Ohio on the second day. So I'm going to go around the group here. Thoughts, recap what stood out, and maybe what beat your expectations or what fell below your expectations. Taylor, we'll start with you.
Sure. So, one, I didn't notice as much replanting as I thought I would on the south part of the tour. Crops were further along than I was expecting due to that. And also, I'm very rarely on the east side of Ohio, so higher yield expectation than I had just for that part of the state that I don't see very, very often.
How we doing, Bennett?
Yeah, I think our lowest yields were higher than I expected. You know, in years past, some of those would have been our highest yields that you've seen on the tour. So overall, I think yields were really good. The further south you got, the better that they got. But the consistency on the corn crop was shocking. The soybeans, there was a little bit of variability in there, but I think some of that, you know, we did have some frost damage on some of those fields we walked into, so there was a little bit of replant, not as much as I thought there would be, but, you know, the consistency, the lack of disease, and, you know, overall, it's a pretty good crop.
Scott, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think everyone's summed it up pretty good, but I think for me personally, I was a little surprised how low all the disease pressure was on everything. Beans and corn both. You know, we've had quite a bit of rain this summer, lot of heat with it at times. So overall, I guess that was probably the biggest thing that I was surprised by, was the lack of disease we saw in corn and beans both. Tremendous yields. The further south we went, the better the yields got. So looking forward to a good fall and seeing how close we were on our yield predictions.
And that looking forward to a good fall is not maybe something you guys have said the last couple of years, and I say that specifically to Scott and Bennett. They're from this part of the world, and it's been pretty darn dry down here. Scott, come back to you. How does this compare?
Yeah, that's, you know, we've had 2 years. Last year was a little below average, and then 24 was just a complete disaster on it. So, Bennett had mentioned some of the lower yields we saw. Even last year, some of the lower yields we saw would have been good yields for us last year. So, farming's always cyclical. So you take the good with the bad. But we're looking forward to getting this crop out of the field this fall.
Bennett, nice compared to last year as well.
Yeah, I think we're better off, a lot better off the last couple of years, like Scott said. You know, when you do tours or walk your fields this time of the year in August, it's not very often you can say there's adequate moisture. So that's exciting to see the crop finish off, and especially put some top end on these beans. As long as we don't get too much moisture, you know, that is a possibility like they've gotten out in Indiana. So excited to get the combines rolling, but hopefully we don't have, you know, any issues between now and then.
Taylor, let's talk about your kind of the crossover from the north leg. You went on both of those days and both of our days on the south leg. And again, it's been that flip-flop from years past. Usually we've been seeing nice things in the north and not so great in the south, but vice versa this year.
Yeah, it is vice versa this year for sure. In the north, it's not like the crops were looking bad. They're just looking very young. So sometimes we couldn't get even a yield estimate on the corn because it was too small to do. But overall, pretty consistent across the north and the south with low yield pressure low disease pressure. And we want a elongated fall for the north to finish out, but the south is looking great.
Let's hope things can continue on a good path ahead, but only time will tell. Taylor Dill, Bennett Musselman, Scott Metzger joining us on the south leg of the Ohio Crop Tour, and that wraps up the 2026 Ohio Crop Tour, brought to you by Field Leader, which is a project of the Ohio Soybean Checkoff. I'm Joel Penorwood for the Ohio AgNet. Thanks all for tuning in, and you can find the full results from Stop by Stop at ohioagnet.com.
Thank you, Joel. Great work by you and Dusty over the week, traveling all across the Buckeye State. Again, you can see those results from all 4 days at ohioagnet.com. We'll check the markets and get some news behind the numbers after this.
Harvest may be ramping up, but your Ohio Soybean Checkoff has been working all year long. The Ohio Soybean Council is putting your checkoff dollars to work, from advancing research to help produce more profitable beans, to developing new uses for soy-based products. We're focused on delivering value back to Ohio soybean farmers, and we're doing it by investing in the areas that matter most to Ohio farmers. That means strengthening export opportunities, fostering connections with animal agriculture, and continuing to grow demand through biofuels. Visit soyohio.org to see all the ways your Ohio Soybean Checkoff is at work.
What's better than getting the trusted farm news you count on from Ohio's Country Journal? Having a chance to win a brand new Arctic Ultra Tough cooler. The Ohio's Country Journal sweepstakes are back. Subscribe or renew your subscription today, and you'll be entered for a chance to win one of 2 45-quart Arctic Ultra Tough coolers. Just visit ocj.com/renew for official rules and to complete your subscription or renewal for your chance to win. Ohio's Country Journal, your source for Ohio farm news.
Welcome back to the Ohio AgNet. I'm Ty Higgins, and today's market analysis is brought to you by Louis Dreyfus Company in Upper Sandusky. Opening to receive soybeans starting September 1st. Ohio farmers plan to get your RFID tag the week of August 24th from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Learn more by calling 419-731-7100. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished the Thursday session on a mostly lower note, led by corn down 8 to 9. Beans down were 1 to 2 cents from new crop forward. Now the August and September contracts were up ever so slightly. Bean meal was down, bean oil was down, crude oil was down over $2 a barrel. Wheat markets held on the longest, but even there at the end of the day, spring wheat, Kansas City wheat, Chicago wheat, all moving lower. Markets were driven by headlines, and on the wheat side, that meant a lot of volatility. Price moves were gigantic at times, and then not necessarily exceptionally tied to anything other than news about Argentina's record production, Black Sea concerns, you name it. The story was out there in wheat. Export sales came in at 67 million bushels on old crop and new crop beans versus 34 million the prior week. China has been busy. I'm Ryan Martin.
Ryan, thank you. This rundown of overnight markets brought to you by FS Envision and High Soy, seed made for this ground. Learn more at fsseed.com/Ohio. Slightly higher in the overnight trade for the corn, with September a penny to the good at $4.49. December $4.73 1/4, up a penny and a quarter, and corn for March of next a penny and a quarter higher at $4.89. No change for August soybeans, trading at $11.68 1/4 overnight. September $11.69 1/4, up by 3 1/4, and new crop November up 1 3/4 at $11.84. Wheat for September, $6.58 a bushel, up 5 1/4. December, a nickel higher at $6.73 1/4. After yesterday, August live cattle, $226.22, down $4.35. Feeder cattle for September off $2.15 at $337.20. And lean hogs for August, $95.47, down 20 cents. I'm Ty Higgins. This is the Ohio AgNet.